Hello, everybody, and thank you for attending our 2024 NBAS Winter Photography Exhibition named The Art of Perspective. My name is Olivia O'Keefe, and I'm a public relations intern here at Alfa Art Gallery. Before we start, on behalf of the entire Alfa Art Gallery team, we'd like to thank all of our featured artists here tonight because they have graciously contributed their pieces to create our finalized exhibition. And we'd also like to thank everyone that's attending the meeting tonight, and we're happy to have you here. I would like to take this time to ask if everyone could please click the mute button at the bottom of the screens. I have many interns accompanying me tonight, specifically Albert Taylor, who's also a PR intern, who's going to be guiding us through the virtual gallery, as Galina explained. And then we're going to be doing the introductory presentation right before that. And the presentation is to explain the goals and mission of Alfa Art Gallery, as well as introduce and give a little information about all of our featured photographers. And now we will transition into our presentation. Welcome to the Art of Perspective, NBAS 2024 Photography Exhibition's opening virtual reception. We are so grateful to have such a talented group of artists who have been kind enough to share their work with us today. The exhibition duration is from January 30th, 2024 to March 30th, 2024. If anyone was unable to attend the virtual reception today, the in-person reception is Friday, February 9th from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., and we will be uploading the virtual reception to YouTube soon. About the salon. Since starting the program in 2010, Alfa has made a point to include a salon dedicated to showcasing fascinating photography, watercolor, oil, and mixed media pieces. Over the years, the series has not only exhibited works from both established and emerging artists, but has also made fruitful connections locally and internationally through its successful programs. Within this nonprofit organization, Alfa Art Gallery maintains its mission to uplift artists by providing an open and innovative environment. These exhibitions are free and open to the public, Tuesday to Saturday, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. About the exhibit, this season, Alfa Art Gallery opens its doors to showcase photography works in the 2024 New Brunswick Art Salon series named The Art of Perspective. Alfa's New Brunswick Art Salon will be open to the public to feature works of photography from rising as well as seasoned photographers. In the age of technology, where cameras and social media are so easily accessible, the art of photography has not received the appreciation that it deserves. The Art of Perspective promises to shift that narrative. We encourage viewers to immerse themselves in a world of visual wonderment and to celebrate these moments frozen in time. With this diverse collection of images from our 11 featured photographers, we will be brought on a journey of different perspectives, visions, and storytelling. Every photo can be seen as a window into each photographer's objective based on their vision. This helps all viewers connect to and admire each piece individually. This engagement provokes conversation and introspection that cannot be replicated through technology. Our featured artists include Anthony Buccino, Arik Gorban, Cheryl Bomba, Danny Froyen, David Anderson, Dennis Maida, Dwight Hiscano, Frederick Ballet, Kay Kenny, Samuel Vovsi, and Tsveta Ubcheva.
Anthony Buccino is a writer, editor, and photographer. Born in Belleville, Nutley, New Jersey, he has published 5 essay collections, 3 military history books, 8 photo collections, and 7 full-length poetry collections, focusing on various topics from the history of northern New Jersey to transit coverage. For his writings, he has earned 4 Society of Professional Journalists Excellence in Journalism Awards, and he has spent many years working for newspapers and publishing firms, such as the Dow Jones & Co., the Wall Street Journal, and TheStreet.com. With his multidisciplinary background, Buccino began his photography journey while working for local newspapers. Perhaps due to his journalist background, Buccino has an eye for visual storytelling and capturing the unique and personal experiences within New Jersey through his photos.
Arik Gorban is a photographer and an instructor of photography based out of Bridgewater, New Jersey. An Alfa Art veteran, he has extensive experience exhibiting his work, as well as participating in photography contests. Gorban has won numerous awards and has had his work published both in the US and internationally. His process encompasses analog photography, darkroom work, and extensive digital image editing, incorporating elements of motion, contrasting values, space, and patterns into his photos. The images he has chosen to exhibit were produced mostly via camera by using long exposure, moving the camera during the exposure, or through an infrared converted camera. Cheryl Bomba is a New Jersey-based photographer who began her career as a special education teacher, photographing portraits of her students with autism. Today, her main subjects of interest include small moments from life found in nature, architecture, and sculpture, which she then adds her own creative vision to. A founding member of the photographers group, Bomba recognizes the importance of creating new perspectives on everyday subjects. She plays with color and proportion in her work that is most often achieved through the process of compositing, combining multiple images to create the effective one. Her work titled Still Life Tulips serves as a premier example of this.
Danny Froyen is a professional violinist from Hasselt, Belgium. He discovered his passion for photography at a young age. Armed with his first camera, Froyen's artistic focus lies in capturing the nuances of everyday life. His approach involves photographing diverse elements, playing with nature's color and light, and applying abstract edits. Froyen aims to evoke a broad spectrum of emotions, presenting his work more akin to painting than traditional photography. His style is characterized by boldness and vibrancy. He skillfully combines color and shapes to craft emotionally resonant pieces that transcend conventional photographic boundaries. It is also worth noting that he is a multi-award-winning artist and has participated in many solo exhibitions.
David Anderson is an artist that challenges canonic traditions of photography. Through the use of perspective, his photos emphasize design elements such as lines, differing shapes and values, and contrasts in places we least expect, transforming the familiar objects and locations captured in his photos into something abstracted and unfamiliar. He particularly seeks unique and meaningful juxtapositions of the obvious with the unexpected within his works. His interests in graphic design lead him to focus on contrasts, shapes, movement, edges, harmony, and patterns within his subjects. Anderson is currently based in Hopewell, New Jersey. His works have been shown at various curated gallery exhibitions and private collections in the Princeton, New Jersey area, with him having also served as the president of the Princeton Photography Club.
Frederick Ballet is a photographer with a background in orthopedic studies, having even found his own hand surgery practice. After retirement, he was able to renew his passion for photography. He studied at the Tilt Institute for the Contemporary Image, then known as the Philadelphia Photo Art Center, where he became the first student to earn a Contemporary Practices photography certificate. Ballet uses various photography techniques and photo manipulation to bring surrealism into the natural world, creating landscapes that blur the line between reality and imagination. His works prompt questions about the human psyche, while also relating to the pressing environmental issues, such as rising sea levels.
Dennis Maida is a semi-professional photographer based in Lincoln Park, New Jersey. He discovered his passion for photography in 2008 during his military service in New Orleans. Picking up the camera proved to be a pivotal moment, providing the sense of purpose that he had been seeking. Over a decade later, diagnosed with PTSD, photography remains a steadfast anchor for Maida. In the face of challenges, it serves as a grounding and calming force in his life, showcasing the transformative power of his commitment to the art form. Dennis created the F-22 Project, a program designed to assist veterans with PTSD through photography. Dennis has many accomplishments, such as Best in Show at the Phillips Mill Photographic Exhibition for 2023. He also won a New Jersey Monthly December 2019 cover contest and was runner-up in 2022.
Dwight Hiscano has been documenting urban and natural landscapes through his camera for nearly 40 years. His works have been shown in the New York Times, Outdoor Photographer, and Nature's Best, and at numerous group and solo exhibitions. Some of Dwight's major accomplishments were being a recipient of the Black and White Magazine Single Image Spotlight Award, being a finalist in the 2018, 2020, and 2021 International Color Awards, and was twice nominated for the Black and White Spider Awards. He has also received ample acknowledgement for his experimental photograph series, Trees from Above. Aside from photography, Hiscano is also a lifelong conservationist, working extensively for conservation organizations through volunteering and donations. Kay Kenny is a painter, photographer, writer, and educator based in the New Jersey and New York area. She studied visual arts under Syracuse University's BFA and MFA program and received her MA from Rutgers University. As a photography professor, she has taught for over 25 years at the New York University and the International Center of Photography in New York City. Her works have won several prestigious awards, such as the Soho Photo Alternative Photography 2021 Award. Kenny also has some curatorial experience, one of which was the Memory and Loss exhibit in New York City, and her works are in several notable corporate, museum, and private collections, such as the Pfizer Corporation. Kenny is an artist who utilizes her medium to the maximum, creating dreamlike compositions of familiar yet otherworldly places.
Samuel Vovsi, originally from St. Petersburg and later residing in Riga, Latvia, held a PhD in mathematics and served as a mathematics professor at Riga Technical University. In 1989, he immigrated to the United States, contributing to academia at institutions like Rutgers University, the College of New Jersey, and UCLA. Vovsi transitioned to computer programming in the mid-1990s, working in financial institutions. Concurrently, he cultivated a lifelong passion for photography, particularly travel photography. Over the years, this hobby transformed into a serious pursuit, encompassing landscapes, cityscapes, architecture, and everyday life. Vovsi's photographic works have been showcased in exhibitions globally, earning awards and juried shows. His diverse experiences spanning mathematics and photography showcase a rich and multifaceted journey.
Tsveta Ubcheva is a Bulgarian artist specializing in various fields and disciplines who uses art as a connecting device between the individual and the universe. She received her education in the field of photography from the Photographic Society of Varna in Bulgaria, as well as the School for Visual Arts, known as Art Extreme Concept, where she attended art and conceptual photography classes. Ubcheva's background as a published author and in chemical engineering lend a hand to her creative process, believing that everything in nature is connected and ever-changing. Her focus on harmony and spirituality allows her to create thought-provoking and exciting pieces intended to expand one's consciousness. We at Alfa Art Gallery thank each of our artists for their contributions to our winter photography exhibition by sharing their work with not only us, but the world. We look forward to your continued development as artists. Additionally, we would like to thank our 2024 NBAS sponsors. Grant funding has been provided by the Middlesex County Board of County Commissioners, Johnson & Johnson, Amboy Bank, Magyar Bank, Merck, New Brunswick City Center, the Bank of Princeton, Middlesex County Cultural and Arts Commission, and GlaxoSmithKline Pharmaceuticals. Finally, we would like to thank our interns and staff who worked so tirelessly to make this exhibition possible. Our curatorial interns, Rebecca Nicosia, Jeannie Na, Kayla Witten, and Daniel Boachi. Our PR interns, Albert Taylor, Harsh Singh, Olivia O'Keefe, and Nicholas Spada, and our graphic design interns, Emily Regal and Molly Mahone.
All right, and now I'll give Albert the floor to conduct our walkthrough of the virtual gallery.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Albert Taylor, and I'm a public relations intern as part of the Alfa Art Gallery. And I'm actually very excited to conduct this virtual exhibition. I actually conducted the previous one for our fall watercolor, and to be able to see all of our artists convened in one place to really take in their work is a unique opportunity. In particular, Art Steps is an online tool that really provides us the chance to embrace these artworks, even though we're not there in person. It became very popular during COVID, when the ability to meet with other people was a little hindered, of course, as we can all remember. But I found that it actually provides unique pros over the in-person exhibition, so I definitely suggest going to both. For example, Art Steps has all of the artworks of our artists, so that sometimes within the gallery, we may have limited space to this, but in the virtual exhibition of Art Steps, you definitely have the chance to see everything fully for what it was meant to see. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to take a quick tour and see what we have from our artists. If I can welcome you all to the Art of Perspective. And as a quick note too, please, if you feel the need to contribute to the conversation, I would much appreciate hearing anyone's voices and seeing what they have to say. I would love the chance for open discourse so we can all interact with the artworks together, because that is a benefit of this Zoom meeting. So we'll begin first with Arik Gorban. It's a quick display of all the artworks, and then we'll go through each of them one by one. I actually had a great chance to speak with Arik Gorban yesterday, and he brought his small dog Twinkle, his foster dog, too. And like I said earlier, it's really nice to see the actual artists behind the photography, because I definitely hold them to lofty standards, something that I may not be able to capture myself. And Arik Gorban himself is actually an instructor of photography. And he showed me some of the skills and techniques he uses, such as his water and ice series, where he uses infrared lighting to actually capture. And infrared lighting actually produces unique visuals that normally we can't see with the human eye. So for the skilled artists such as Arik Gorban, we are privy to artworks such as this.
Gorban's water and ice series actually demonstrates really efficient use, I believe, of the chiaroscuro technique that's often found in fine arts, with the dark waters in the background really emphasizing the different abstract ice forms very beautifully.
Thank you for that, Rebecca. And Arik, if you ever if you'd like to contribute, if not, you can also be a wallflower. It's no pressure. But I will be enjoying these artworks regardless. Here we have the Sandy Hook series as well, 2 images.
I'll just say that I love to work in projects, so that's why I have multiple images of similar feel and approach. I decide on a project and then I go to multiple locations and really execute it.
Yes, no, the world is definitely full with opportunities, and I like how these create a certain theme too. These are some standout photos that received a lot of love on social media.
I agree. They're all very similar in that they use very cool colors throughout that really create a very nice sense of tranquility, like as you can see in Canal. And even in the more over, if you go to the left a little bit, we have the images of bike race. Even though they use, this motion blur that create a very dynamic sense of action, they still incorporate that, cool blue kind of tone to them that even so like create a bit of a sense of calmness and tranquility that I really like.
Yes, Eric Gorban actually had a chance to inform me that these were created using ICM, which is intentional camera movement. So it's not as like a fluke of a camera blur, but it's certainly measured and purposeful, which is very unique. And I definitely learned a lot. And it makes me interact with different artworks. One more look around. And of course, we have these available for the virtual exhibition, but these artworks are also stunning to see in person. So it would be a great opportunity. So next, just to make sure we go through everyone thoroughly, we'll go side by side. We will go to Frederick Ballet next. Just a quick overview, then we shall go through them one by one. And if I can say for Frederick Ballet, these artworks are actually framed quite uniquely. You cannot see it as well during the virtual. However, in person, these are face-mounted acrylic paintings. So there's a certain type of luster when they're actually within your face too. These are some personal favorites of mine. Of course, not biased, but I love looking along these. Would love to have it in my house someday, but gotta be able to pay.
I also wanted to add that if any of you can, I highly recommend you come see Ballet's works in person. I feel like with the surface that he used, there's a lot more details and also like this glow to his artworks that you can really see when you're actually in the physical space. That like even though they're beautiful here on screen as well, it's like a very different experience seeing them in person.
Absolutely. Like I said, pros and cons for both the virtual and the in-person exhibition. A great thing about the virtual is these will be published for free viewing, so you can also look at them on your own time as well. And we can provide you details on how to do that through our social medias.
A really cool approach at these scenes of the beach and the sea, kind of transforming the world that we know. Everybody visits the beach in the summer, that type of thing. But he does a good job of transforming, this familiar scene for us into something unexpected and almost unrecognizable. So he does a really good job of playing with a sense of abstractism in his photography.
Thank you very much for that, Rebecca. So now if we have any further comments too, if you feel like you had something else to say, we will also be opening the floor up later on as we close the exhibition for tonight, but we shall continue through the exhibition with Cheryl Bomba. Just a quick overview. And then we shall go through them one by one. This here is Universal Language by Cheryl Bomba. And this is also kind of a favorite of mine too. If anything, in the fact that how you can find a subject for art in anything, like the idea of the titling this universal language is how we can all still connect through art in different mediums and forms. While Cheryl's taking a picture, this man is communicating through music, and everyone else is living through this life at the same time. So capturing these still moments is what makes photography exhibitions so great.
Agreed. And I feel like, as you can see in this universal language one, and then as we move further throughout Bomba's section, there's also one entitled Outlook, I believe it is, that has a very like almost painterly effect that feels like Bomba really like basically took a scene from real life, grabbed a brush and painted her vision like directly onto the scene, which is a very cool approach.
Definitely some standout photos from Cheryl Bomba. Moving on, also to give a chance to actually first look at Still Life and Tulips too.
I find her like use of perspective so fascinating. I know that like this photo is not the actual like accurate, like there aren't actual tulips coming out of the building, but just the way she like incorporates objects into like the overall composition, it like creates such like a fun and yet whimsical also kind of look to her artworks.
I agree with that. I love the way that, because I've seen the vessel in person, like knowing that she looked at that and saw it as a flower vase rather than like the architecture, because the architecture itself is art, and the way that she transformed it into something else is very unique, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, she definitely takes a very creative approach at her work and playing with all these different architectural forms very brilliantly, I might say.
Over here, we have Lucky Strike, and we also have a premiere image of Rise by Cheryl Bomba.
The diversity of her pictures is also something that I appreciate, because she really just does it all. Like she can take pictures of anything and like put her unique perspective and vision into each picture.
Thank you guys so much for your comments. Cheryl Bomba, I definitely enjoy her photos and artworks. How these artists approach art, photography so differently is also what's so unique about the medium, and how if they're taking abstract photos, they really challenge you to disassemble your understanding of what it is and really view upon things with a fresh and open mindset. Here we have Kate Kenny and her series Lips of the Sea, where she actually takes an intimate look at life and waste within the seawater and how humans really interact on several aspects of the world. We can go through each of them one by one.
I think Kay's work is really very like balanced, yet it's almost like she uses this macro photography technique that it has like a very busy kind of sense to it, but also very balanced and harmonious the way like every specific abstract form is positioned. I think the implied lines that she uses as well really guide viewers' eyes throughout the abstract shapes and textures of the images really effectively.
Yeah, and also just the way she angles her camera to be kind of directly above the water so that you get this a little murky and yet clear view into the underwater life. I think the sense of intimacy really comes from the fact that it almost looks like you're in the like ocean water yourself and you're peering down into the life below.
Yeah, I can imagine Kate Kenny got her feet a little bit wet while trying to take these photos. It's for the love of the art form. And I love how even though it's still online, the pictures are so stunning, so visually descriptive.
This one coming up, I think it's Lips of the Sea 2, is one of my personal favorites. It just features this beautifully subtle gradient of colors from the green of the plants on the left to this like maroon purple in the middle, and then ending at a warmer and lighter orange and yellow hue on the right. I just think it's really well executed.
Absolutely.
Also, just her use of light is so gorgeous in these photos, especially the one you're looking at right now. The way the light ripples through the water and it's reflecting onto the surface. It's beautiful and it really does create like dreamlike, otherworldly kind of new world that you're looking at.
Only a warmer world in New Jersey right now. This seems like a vacation to paradise. That's kind of the feelings that it invokes for me. And we'll just go through one last overview of Kate Kenny's section. Okay, so now on to the next hallway. Here we have David Anderson and Samuel Vovsi. We'll begin first with David Anderson, a general pan of his artworks. And let us start over here. David Anderson is from Hopewell, New Jersey, and he searches for abstraction and representation. He's an artist that really makes me try and ponder what's going on too. And like I said before, challenge my understanding of what is really standard in our own reality and what his actual pictures can tell with their story and narrative.
It's really interesting to me how Anderson really plays with almost like liminal space imagery, if you know what that is. Um, there's one, I believe it's Office at Night or something along those lines, that it creates this almost like surreal, almost eerie effect on the images that just completely transforms, the world that we might see during the day.
I'm really fascinated by Anderson's approach to his photographs. He takes photos of just the area surrounding him, but then he searches for design elements, whether it's the way the photo you're looking at right now, for example, the way he looked, how those stark lines contrasted to the blurring lights, like right behind him. He like abstracts the world around him in a way where they look like patterns more than like the landscape it is.
Well, that's a great observation, Jeannie. Definitely with photography, one of the powerful tools is juxtaposition, and is truly on display right there. Office at Night, as Rebecca was mentioning earlier. And I truly can spend like half an hour just staring at these two, but of course we'd have to keep the exhibition going. But like I said, these will be public for viewing, so if you would want to spend more time, or maybe if you have students and you would like to show them your exhibit, this will definitely be a great opportunity, a great tool for you to use. Very bright, very visually stunning too. Ladder to Eternity.
With the one that you're looking at right now, I'm really fascinated by how he plays around with frames. With that photograph specifically, like even within that photo, the square of the photo itself, it's like sectioned off into threes. And then even within the one long strip that goes in the middle, it's then sectioned off into two again. He's playing with value and color a lot, and it's bringing out the greens and the yellows. And it makes the screen that he's photographing feel even more surreal in a way. Like it's not the space that you're typically familiar with. It's something in between.
Thank you. These are some great analyses we've been having too. And lastly, for David Anderson, have Empty. Now, if we can exit this section with one last pan, and if I can make a quick note too, unfortunately, David Anderson could not provide his artworks to the gallery. Unfortunately, he had a family circumstance that was quite urgent and he had to attend to. So his artworks are only visible during the virtual exhibition. So another unique quality of tonight. Any more comments we can discuss at the end of the exhibition tour, okay? So now we shall step into Samuel Vovsi.
Again, if any artists, when we come to your given section, if any artists have any comments they want to add or, give us any anecdotes behind your works or anything of that nature, the floor is, of course, open to you because this is all about you.
I
Wow.
love
So,
all of these pieces because they give a very gothic vibe, even though the photographs are themselves not particularly gothic, but I just love the use of black and white and the blur and kind of how there's like a span.
I agree with that. I feel like the lack of color almost allows for like a greater focus on the story that's told in each scene, especially with the vertical kind of background blur that he incorporates. It really artistically alters the whole composition amongst the scenes and just adds movement to especially these more architectural scenes in a very beautiful way.
Yeah, I really like how even though the photo is blurred, it's very clear around the people and the subjects in it. Kind of gives you a nice point of view and a nice view of what's going on.
no, absolutely, Nick. Thank you. Like I've said before, these intentional camera movements are very purposeful, and there's certainly an objective that these artists would like to achieve when they are doing these. I personally feel that the effects of these movements and the way that he's framing his subjects just transports me to like an earlier time. Like someone said it reminds them of Gothic material, but the black and white definitely gives me a more older time feeling. And while I'm sure these are real people taking 2020, the 2020s, you know, but still I feel transported, and not exactly knowing where I am makes the whole situation a lot more mystical.
I also really appreciate that even though the background is it's blurred, it's hazy, you can still tell apart all the different like buildings and the landscape of it. It just adds more so to the overall, the moody and dark ambience to this like landscape that he's depicting.
I would love to know if these are all set pieces, actually, if they were all from one area or if they've just been through different travels of Vovsi's life. So we'll do one final pan of his artworks too, very impressive. And as I said earlier, there are currently about 5 of these paintings that are actually on the wall of the exhibit. So this is kind of an exclusive feat. But now we'll be exiting this hallway and entering the next. Okay? Here we have Danny Froyen and Tsveta Ubcheva. First, we'll begin with Danny Froyen on the left and a pan of all his artworks.
I really admire Danny's ability to almost paint with his photography. It's almost like his work displays such a vibrancy that I feel like you don't really see in everyday realist photography, especially in his piece. I think it was Hidden Person. He manages to create a sense of mystery and intrigue that leaves us wanting to know more about the subject. And it allows us as well to create just our own interpretations of each piece that I think is a really powerful element of his photography.
I know Daniel Froyen mentioned just today recently that almost everything that he's photographed, at least for the series he's showing at this photo exhibition, he just ran into them. Like from his day to day, most of them are surfaces such as doors, the walls, the floor. He took photos of them and then kind of abstracted them to see the almost painterly look that we see in front of us. And I think that's so fascinating that he's able to seek out these things that are just hidden in the world around us and then present them in a way they're almost unrecognizable and yet still somewhat familiar.
Yes, thank you very much. Danny Froyen actually visited the art gallery earlier today to conduct an interview with our intern Jeannie as well. The interview is currently being processed, and you guys can look forward to it in the coming weeks. And also, if you express any interest in an interview with Alfa Art Gallery, we would be happy to oblige. I believe Arik Gorban will be coming soon. We're going to be in talks with them after this.
Through the presentation, I learned that Danny Freund's a skilled violinist, and I was just thinking about maybe there was like a musical motive to any of these paintings, that they like correlate since both of the art forms do overlap in many cases. But that was just I had regarding that.
Yeah, during today's interview, he did mention that his two creative disciplines, music and art, do directly influence each other. I know Danny is in the Zoom right now, so if he wants to come forward and kind of talk about it himself, then please do. But I think for me personally, when I look at his photograph, they all have like a sense of rhythm to them in how he lays out the shapes, like with the photograph we're looking at right now, the circles within the circle that we're looking at right now kind of spiral around in the middle. And I do think that kind of comes from the fact that he has like a musical background. And so he just intuitively applies it to his photographs as well.
No, it's definitely a good note because each artist's photography is different and they're going to come from different backgrounds, disciplines. And it's interesting to see how each of those unfold and influence their artworks over time. So this is just a small selection of Danny Froyen's submissions to our event. All of his portfolios can be viewed online on our artist page. Same for each and every one of these artists too. If you don't see them in the in-person exhibition, you can peruse our website and see what they're doing for our current exhibition, if they've presented with us in the past, and see their artworks from there. It's great to see how people transform and grow because no matter how young or old we are, there's always more to learn. There's always ways to refine your craft. will be students forever. But now we enter into Tsveta Ubcheva's artwork, and this is her Levels of Consciousness series. Now, I'm not familiar with the technique that Tsveta uses, but I know that I've stared at these. These are actually like really close to me. Like I can look at them right now within the gallery too. And just the more my mind looks at them, the more I'm able to focus on other things as well. Just empty and silence as I'm trying to understand what's going on and analyze. And I love when pictures or photography or artworks evoke certain emotions such as those.
It's cool that you actually had that effect, Albert, because I feel like it's definitely kind of what Tsveta was going for with this series. I know her Levels of Consciousness series features her own interpretation of the levels of human consciousness. I think she actually had described, the perceptions, emotions, actions, and spiritual beliefs and things of that nature. And I feel like she definitely really effectively portrays this through these almost natural yet abstract photographs where she incorporates these really eye-catching patterns from, different elements of nature. Here we can see the different rock layers. And yeah, she just takes a very cool approach at this.
Yes, I think that could be influenced by her background in science as well. She has many degrees. And I also appreciate the talent that we get internationally. Danny Froyen from Belgium and Tsveta Ubcheva from Bulgaria. And I love how they all culminate into the melting pot of America and New Brunswick too. So we can experience artworks that we may or may not have seen in our lifetimes without these opportunities. And that's one of the great things about the New Brunswick Art Salon.
After reading Sveta's artist page on our website, I also found out that she is a chemical engineer by education. So that did make me have questions on whether the paintings had like a scientific background to them. Similarly to how Danny Froyen's, I was wondering about how music relates to his art, wondering how her background in science relates to her art when I look at these.
It's really amazing how the lighter parts of her photos look like they're almost glowing. She captured the light so well in a way where you aren't even able to recognize what these materials are at first glance. Like they look natural, but they also look foreign.
Oh, thank you very much for that. Like I said, and similar to other abstract artists too, that mental work that we're doing to understand and comprehend kind of lengthens our experience of the artworks themselves. Something is simple and straightforward, you could take a glance at it and understand it and be gone. But something such as this may stick with your mind and perplex you and puzzle you and really leave an imprint on you as well. So now we'll end with one final pan of her artworks, photographies. Sadly, we're nearing close to the end of our exhibition, but there's certainly stellar pictures coming up soon. Here we have Dwight Hiscano and Anthony Buccino. As always, I'll start with the left with a quick pan of their artworks.
Reading about the process of these was so interesting because he uses a drone lens to take pictures of the trees from above. That's just something very interesting about these.
Definitely, these are unique abilities, unique techniques, and things that I would not have thought to capture on camera. Like these are regular trees and regular subjects, but to convert them to black and white, to put a drone camera along as well. Furthermore, in person, these are all on large white canvases. So it's very stunning effect with the black and white on the large white canvas too. It is commanding and domineering and demands attention.
The observation that Olivia had, he takes these, again, these very familiar things that to us, these trees and bushes and things of that nature, and he completely like just is able to transform them into looking, I feel like to me they look very like spider-like, and it's just he completely transforms them because most of the time we're only really seeing these subjects at eye level, and it's very cool just comparing how we would see this in nature to how he was personally able to interpret them.
Love that Rebecca mentioned the spiders because when I first saw these, I thought of veins and also just organ systems and like the X-ray, the diagrams and drawings and things. And I think it shows how Hiscano has abstracted his photographs in a way where they're almost, you can't recognize them as trees at first glance, and you can interpret them in different ways and also, I guess, react emotionally differently.
Like I said, these will be very stunning in person too, and perhaps we all walk away with a favorite tree of ours in mind, But that concludes Dwight Hiscano's submission. Certainly fitting for our winter photography exhibition. I think he nailed the theme right on the head. And now we will enter into Anthony Buccino's section with a quick pan of his artworks. Very vibrant, stark contrast from the black and white that we have. Very colorful images. We'll look through them one by one.
An element that I noticed as I was going through and analyzing Buccino's works, that he uses very subtle techniques almost to highlight each of his subjects, whether that be for this one, Old Friends, he like positions and the color as well, the color difference between the green and this precious little couple that's sitting here in the lower right-hand corner. It definitely does a really good job of emphasizing each of his subjects in his works.
I think it may be titled by Old Friends too, but love is abound in many ways. And Walt Smith re-election. These photos are also available to be viewed on our social media accounts, our Facebook and Instagram stories too. So you can have a nice convenient way to really be a part of the exhibition on the fly, on the go, if you want to share someone quickly, someone you were really impressed by.
I know Buccino has a background in journalism and writing, and he has been exploring photography quite recently now. And I feel like you can really see his journalist background come into his photos. Like all of them have a sort of narrative about New Jersey and suburbia and kind of the American experience ingrained into them.
Definitely does make sense that you bring that to light, because in a way I feel like these remind me of like a job of a historian, taking still images of life, these moments in time, and immortalizing them. And these will never change, and we can look back on these times as well. Very appreciate this artwork. Along with this,
Similarly to my comment on Cheryl Bomba's pieces, I love the diversity of the images, of the color and the subjects. They're all of his style, but they're all still very unique and a little different.
I think that's a great point to mention about the artist's style, because there's themes, there's similar themes that these artists have, but they're all very unique. Like I can look at one photograph and instantly attach it to the artist, because within their submission, there's similarities, there's themes that is prevalent and that shows their skills and what they see as prominent, useful subjects in their photography. We could just take one larger pan, looking back at the artworks. And we will now enter our final artist, who will be Dennis Maida. Lastly, we'll take a quick pan of all of his artworks. I think it's funny how I mentioned how these artist styles, there can be similarities. Like we saw Cheryl Bomba and her universal language of a man with a saxophone and or a brass instrument. I can't say the saxophone, but Dennis Maida sees a similar subject too, and a completely different conclusion is brought up. And that's the beautiful beauty of art, truly. We'll begin looking over here with Starry Night.
Even though he has such a large variety of different subject matter, I feel like there are aspects where his personal style really shines through his photos. All of them have a key character, I guess, in a way, like with the photo you're looking at right now with the central house. And he really frames the photo in a way, it spotlights that specific subject.
Yes, putting it on display for all of us to view.
It's cool. I find myself almost getting lost in a lot of Maida's work. He takes such a minimalistic approach, obviously his minimalism series, but it allows him to create almost like a very tranquil and calm composition that personally brings me a really nice sense of balance and almost like a peace of mind.
Here we have Whispers of Autumn, and right beside it is Midwinter Solace. Yes. Very stark contrast between these two pictures. Over here we have Golden Slumber. And like I mentioned before, this is a very unique opportunity for me, at least personally, because being part of this internship really opened my eyes to a whole different world of art. It's not really something that other people my age, young 20s, are really thinking of. So I feel like I have a head start on understanding the world a little bit differently, or seeing a subject that can be so simple and creating a whole world, a whole narrative behind it, over the smallest bit of inspiration. Makes you look at life slightly differently on a day to day.
I actually really agree with that, especially in the case of a lot of Maida's work, because he has this stunning astrophotography series. I think we only have two featured in this virtual section. I think it's Starry Night and Midnight Special, but they really provide us with the opportunity to view the world that, we're so familiar with from a really incredible new perspective. Like, for example, Midnight Special literally looks almost extraterrestrial, like it was shot on the moon. So
I can just take one look at the Midnight Special. This is it right here. Great Vision by Dennis Maida. I'll take a look at his last photo over here, Beacon in the Void of Night. Okay, and with that, I would like to conclude our virtual tour of the Art of Perspective. Thank you everyone for your patience and your presence as well. It's great to have a bunch of people joining the Zoom. And at this point, I would like to open the floor to anyone who would like to discuss and chat. If anyone's had any other comments, Galena, would you like to add anything as we are closing our Artist Perspective virtual exhibition?
Yes, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank my amazing staff, all my interns that have done amazing work, amazing, great discussion. I believe you have to be proud of what you have achieved. Of course, thanks to our amazing artists. This exhibition is outstanding with all the type of the photographers we have with these opportunities to see, to set up this exhibition. So thank you so much for everyone. And I will hope we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely. Very excited to see some of you guys in person. Also, the exhibition will be a great chance for even the artists themselves to connect with other peers, contemporaries, and enjoy the connection that we were kind of robbed of during COVID. And this art salon, we hopefully have an opportunity to bridge us together once again.
Thank you so much. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Yes, if there's no comments, feel free to let you guys go into the night. Excited to see you guys tomorrow, and stay tuned to our social media for any other updates, okay? But first, we have that in-person exhibition tomorrow at 6:30 p.m., okay? We'll see anyone who can make it soon.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
guys.
night, everyone.